What's up, everybody? Today we're going over the couch stretch, okay? Ian or Alani, we're gonna talk about expanding knee flexion. So really just the ability to bend your knee. If our quad is very tight, it's very concentrically orientated, it's trying to hold you back, we're gonna really need to open that up, and we're also gonna need strength in our hamstrings and the backside of the hip to be able to shorten and really pull us into this position. The couch stretch is a classic. Let's go ahead and get into it. We're gonna have Orlani here. She's gonna put her left foot up and get down into it. As high as the bench is a progression. So the higher it is for most people is gonna be a progression. As she sinks down into it, you'll see that her left heel is gonna get closer to her left knee. The closer this is, the harder it is. So that's more knee flexion. So if we wanted to make it a little bit easier, she could go ahead and just push herself forward a little bit. Good. So we could be here, that might be a little bit easier, and it might also get a little bit higher. So why don't you go back to where you were, wherever you feel the most comfortable. If I wanted to make this a little bit easier, but I only had a bench, I could lift her knee up by putting more pads, a higher pillow there, and there would be less knee flexion. If I had something besides the bench, such as yoga blocks, I could have her foot lower, and that would make it easier as well. The other thing that we want to see is when we're looking forward, we want to make sure that we're nice and square. We don't want one hip all the way up. We don't want one side to the side. So what you might need to do is really push one foot down, especially the front one, and maybe you actually need to think about pulling the left side of your pelvis up, and that will actually lock everything in. From there, we're gonna use our breathing. We're gonna get really nice, big, deep breaths, and you're basically trying to pull everything away from me with your exhales. Not so much thinking belly button in, but really just letting the breath take the ribs in. As you do that, you can also work on posterior tilt. So you can think about tucking your butt under you or taking the back side of your pockets and pulling them down to the back side of your knee. So that tuck will also light up the quad a little bit more. Now, the other thing that we can do is think about having the stick mobility here. We do not want you to be balancing. So this is not a stability exercise. We're working on improving your mobility. So we want her to be stable. She could have 10 sticks. She could have a whole entire rig over here to hold on to. Whatever it is, we want her to be balanced. Now with this stick right here, what we can work on is the idea that she could reach just a little higher for me. Now I've put a stretch on all of this tissue on the side. So now she has an even deeper stretch under it. And now if I also have her go across, we can kind of think anatomy trans and all of the ways that the body really wraps up itself. So now we're getting that stretch really across the ribs in a different way. She can also think about pulling her right hip back and letting her left hip go forward as she reaches across her body. And that should really get her into that right hip and open up the left one. Now just get as comfortable as you can, back to square, wherever you feel like being. So now what we're going into is our PAILs and RAILs. We've been here for 2 minutes. You can build up to that 2 minutes. Say this was really uncomfortable and you only got to 30 seconds, try to get 40 seconds next week. So now we've got big deep breath in, exhale everything out, find as much core activation as you can in your front line. Now fill up and try to get that air into your sides and your back, and you're gonna start pushing your foot down into the bench on the left foot. The reason you're pushing your foot is because you're contracting the tissue that's stretching. So we're actually getting our quad to fire up. The quad is a knee extensor, so I want you to think about straightening your left knee right now and really locking your leg out. The bench won't allow you, but keep thinking about that building tension. The core always lights up first, and then we spread that tension into the quad. You're gonna get that to go as strong as you possibly can where it's still safe. And then after about 10 seconds of holding your maximum effort, in the ideal world, again, you can progressively get there. You're gonna go ahead and reverse directions and start to squeeze your hamstring as if you're trying to lift your foot up. It should not lift if you're in your end range, and we don't wanna lose our ribs. Keep trying, 10, 9, if your hamstring cramps, welcome to the family. Everybody else's is too. 5, 4, 3, 2, exhale, relax into it, just breathe. If you wanted to, you could try to get your butt a little bit back, closer to the heel. If that's too much, just stay where you are. And that would be one round of PAILs and RAILs. We'd want to make sure that we take a few breaths afterwards, and then we can go into our next round if we're feeling crazy. Again, over the course of your program, you want to build it up. If you need help with that, just reach out, send us an email or a message. So that's how we're going to do our couch stretch with PAILs and RAILs. If you have any questions, let us know.